All right. Good evening, Michaela. It's nice seeing you again. I thought we were not going to be together anymore, but they offered me this course, all right, at last moment, and I think it's good that we can keep working on this one. This has a different way in which we're going to be working. Also, it's new for me. All right, I'm going to show you that. Perhaps they told you something about it, but first, let me know how you feel, please. Are you all right, Michaela? Is everything okay?
Yes, teacher. Thank you so much.
That's good to know. Okay, it's great to know that you are fine. And let's begin then. Again, this is a new format. Again, it's even new for me because I've worked with A13 and 14 before, but in the format that we used to work in the classes, right? With the 1 hour and 40 minutes, a little bit more, plus the 15 minutes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? But now you know that the format is different, okay? And again, it's even different for me. I want to know first if they told you something about the new format in a certain way, Nika. Let me know, please.
Well, she said me that we are going to have 1 hour of class, like 3 days a week.
Exactly. It's going to be just 1 hour and just 3 days a week. All right. I believe it's because of, well, it's a different format, perhaps also related to the last time of the year, but also something important. And that's why I'm going to give you all the instructions for the entire course is that we have a total of 8 classes per
Oh,
course.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. It's going to be right. 8 classes
Yes.
for A13 and eight classes for A14. Now, it means that it's going to be pretty intensive. You're not going to be with me a lot, just 3 hours a week, right? It's not a lot, but it means that you're going to be practicing a lot by your side and on your own. Why? Because these courses can be very heavy. All right. Usually, again, they need that extra time, but as we are only going to use those 3 hours, it means that you're going to be working by yourself. There are some things, for example, that you're going to see here, but that we are not going to do because of the time. Usually we had one essay per week, all right? It meant after 3 classes and the entire week, we had one essay. So a total of 4 essays. Okay, I'm commenting you this because you're going to see that one. We're using the format that I use for those courses, but we are not going to have weekly essays. We are only going to have one final essay that I'm going to describe for you now, and you're going to have these 8 classes to finish because the last, and that's what I'm going to show you. This is our calendar, the green one. Okay, this is what they sent me. The last class we're going to have for A13, that is writing and reading, is January the 9th. And we have 2 holidays, right? We have 2 holidays. So taking that into account, this week we have 3 classes. Next week we have 2 classes. The following week to that one we have 2 classes, and the last week we only have 1 class. All right. So the information that I'm going to show you now for the final essay is going to be for January the 9th. All right. But
Okay.
it's going to be a big essay, a very big essay with a lot of structure. And actually, you need to follow step by step. Now, it has to be it has to be something that you pay a lot of attention to, because that essay is going to be 60% of the total evaluation. Okay, 60%. And 40% is going to be everything we're going to do together here. Mainly, as this is writing and reading, it's just going to be that. Okay, writing is going to be the main exercise. I'm going to see how we're going to do with reading. I usually use reading for Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I believe that we're going to get at least to use the beginning of some of these classes to have some reading exercises so that you also practice that with me. All right.
Okay.
So again, I'm saying that because I want to see how we're going to be working. If I see that we have a good time and we get to cover everything, we're going to read in class. If not, I'm also going to give you some material so that you can read that by yourself, and then I'm going to try to ask you about it. It depends on how we work this week. I'm going to evaluate that, and according to that, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. All right? Good. So let's begin then. First, let's join the course, please. I'm going to send a link to join the platform. You know that now we don't use Pearson. Everything is going to be here. So everything is going to be evaluated on Google Classroom this time. All right, so the link is in the chat. Let's join the course, please. And I'm going to first tell you about the essay. The only essay we're going to have is this final essay over here. There's a lot of things we need to take into account, and all the things that I'm asking you, you have 6 criteria in the rubric. Everything is something that you'll learn in this course. But again, it's something that you can start working if you want today or tomorrow. And all the presentations are on the platform, right? So if you have doubts about any of these details, you can be doing that by yourself. But anyways, I'm going to be showing you this step by step in every unit. So let's read please first the instructions in, I'm going to select that one. Please, Micaela. They are these ones over here.
Okay, sorry. The argumentative essay must, one, first, be written on Word format. Second, include all the punctuation rules that have been learned. Third, include at least 6 different transitional words phrases. Fourth, include the structure in detail, instruction, body paragraph, and conclusion, all sentences in the correct order and following the criteria. Five, apply all the written tips, active voice, concrete language, be concise, placement of words, no abbreviation or contraction, no repetition, no negative sentence, punctuation marks inside the quotes. Sixth, have a total of 420 words.
Thank you very much, Michael. I was just selecting those words. Let's please repeat those ones. Remember, this is going to be more like A, so it's going to be phrases.
Phrases.
Good. You were doubting a little bit about this one, so this is going to be criteria.
Criteria.
Good. How do you read this word over here?
Writing.
Writing, that's correct. This one, just in case.
Language.
Language. Good. The last part more like language. One more time, please.
Language.
Language. And this one is I, so it's going to be concise.
Concise.
Concise. Good. So this is what you have to have in your final essay. It's 420 words, but actually you're going to say I'm going to give like a wider option that it can be between 220 and 250, all right, or 60, sorry. Why? Because you're going to see that you're going to need more words, because the structure that you have to use that is here, the introduction, body, paragraph, and conclusion, is not any structure, okay? It's a specific structure that we'll learn here that has sentence by sentence, all right, skeleton, let's say. In the introduction, you need 3 main things that you always place in that order, and those 3 things can have 1 or 2 paragraphs, and they have to be there. In the body paragraph, you have 5 elements, and the 5 elements have to be there. Again, the first element can have 1 or 2 sentences, the second one only 2 or 1. So it's step by step, and everything has to be like there. And that's going to be evaluated. We're going to read now very briefly, please, the criteria, so that we can go to our first lesson. We are not going to read everything. We are going to read only, please, the main explanation plus the excellent, let's say, criterion, and the not so well. Let's read those 3, please, Micaela.
Okay. Spelling, conjugation, and general reading. The student has no mistakes in reading and knows the basic and intermediate spellings of commonly used words, as well as the right conjugation according to the tense. Excellent. The student has at most 2 mistakes. Not so well. The student has more than 8 mistakes and 12 at most.
Great. There you go, right? So it's according to the mistakes that you're going to be making in case you make some mistakes. And when we say spelling is how you write the words, right? For example, if you write writing like it was over here with double T, that's a spelling mistake, right? It's only one T and that's it. Conjugation, you know that one, right? If it's third person, it has to be with S. If it's future, it has to be the base form, or you cannot use infinitive, right? You don't say I will to go or I must to do. That's incorrect, right? You say I will go and I must do, right? And finally, general writing is how you use the words in general, right? If you know how to use the basic vocabulary and they make sense in that context, it's correct, right? Any mistakes in those three elements, it's going to be considered a mistake here. And again, it's going to be a reason for having less of this score. That's the first one. Let's go to the next one. And also let's read the same, please, Kayla. The punctuation plus excellent and not so.
Okay, punctuation. The student uses the punctuation rules properly. Excellent, the student makes at most 2 mistakes. Not so well, the student makes more than 6 mistakes and at most 8.
Great, thank you, right? The same logic. And of course, if you make more than 8 mistakes, here is at most. If you have 9, this is going to be, right? Like it's going to be evaluated at 0 over there. So what is punctuation again? How do you use commas, periods, colons, semicolons, dashes? Because you're going to be using all those punctuation rules in these essays. Okay, at least you have to use ones of each. It means colon one time at least, dashes at least one time. And of course, we're going to use a lot of commas and periods and semicolons, right? Because they are very common. But at least one time colon and one time dash, and that's going to be it. Okay, that's punctuation. That's 20. Okay, so far you have 20 for this is 20. Let me verify. I'm not seeing that one. No, this is 10. Only 10 for spelling, conjugation, general writing. 20 for punctuation. All right, it's a lot because it's going to be very important here. Now we have this one, but we're not going to read everything. Let's just read, please, this part plus this one over here. Excellent.
Okay, transitional words, phrases, and connectors. The student uses transitional words, phrases, and connector properly. They are logic, and the two ideas that are connected are clear and organized. Excellent, the student writes at least 6 different transitional words and phrases, and all of them are properly used with the right punctuation, and the ideas are clear and well organized.
There you go. Thank you very much. Now, here, this is 20 points also, right? It's a lot, and it's very important. And here, mainly, all right, people make a lot of mistakes. Why? Because to have 20 points, it's not hard, but you need to use the transitional word with the correct punctuation and in the better context, all right? And it has to make sense and it has to be well organized. For example, you know that you use however for contrast, right? And you use however only after semicolon and after periods. And you only use however when you have a comma after however, right? So you say, I like, right? I like to go to parties, semicolon, however, comma, and you say a contrast, right? So I like to go to parties, semicolon, however, comma, and it is not my favorite activity, right? So that's showing contrast. And you have to use that punctuation. It can be with semicolon or it can be with period. And there it's the best option because of the context, because I'm showing contrast. If you say something that it doesn't show contrast or is not related to your first element, right, it is going to be incorrect. Okay, so all those elements have to be taken into account here. The logic of the word, the best word, and the best context for that word, plus the best and the correct punctuation, right? Only that case is going to be punctuated as correct. If one of those elements is incorrect, it is going to be considered as one of the transitional words is incorrect. Okay, so that's it. Every mistake in that matter is going to affect the score. And again, little by little, so we expect you to use, again, the best options over there. That's one of them. Now we have at least 3 more. Essay, I'm going to read this for you. This is what I was telling you. Your structure, all right, has to be like this. The student uses the structure of the argumentative essay, that's what you learn here, properly. Introduction, body paragraphs, and conclusion. So it's one introduction, 2 body paragraphs minimum, and 1 conclusion. The introduction, to have the 20 points, has, all right, sorry, let's read everything. The introduction has a minimum of 3 complete ideas following the 3 main steps, okay? Because there are 3 main steps, and each step can have 1 or 2 sentences. So you need a minimum of 1 complete idea per step that you have. The body paragraph also has 5 steps. And at least, again, you need 1 complete idea per step that you have. And finally, the conclusion has also 3 steps. And once again, at least 3 complete ideas for those 3 steps. It can be more, all right? You're going to see that sometimes you need more. So you can write 2 or 3 sentences per mistake. But also you need to be careful with the number of words that you have. Okay, so if you don't have 1 step in the introduction, that's going to be only 15 points, right? If you don't have 2 steps, 1 in the introduction and you don't have 1 in the conclusion, that's going to be 10. Okay, so each step is going to take away 5 points from the final score. All right, so let's read the 2 more that we have. This is tips for writing and vocabulary. This is really interesting. This is the last lesson, but all in all, you have all the ideas over here. So let's read this, please, Mikael.
Okay. The student applies all the tips for writing and use the vocabulary to avoid repetition and the usage of negative sentence. Excellent. The student applies all the written tips: active voice, concrete language, being concise, right placement of words, no abbreviation or contraction, no repetition, no negative sentences, punctuation marks inside the quotes, and use the new vocabulary.
Great, thank you very much. Just remember, this word is going to be concise, right? Concise. So here, this is very interesting. This is the last lesson that we cover, and it's also going to be the last lesson in this course. But take that into account, okay? If you're going to start writing your essay starting this week, if you want, take into account that you are going to use active voice, okay? You have to use active voice. Concrete language means that you don't say like things that are not clear for the reader. For example, if you say, I am good, or this is the best option because of many reasons, it's incorrect, okay, in this essay. Why? Because many reasons is not concrete, is too broad, too wide. What are those many reasons? You have to mention those reasons, okay? So this is the best option because of this and that, okay? That's the meaning of concrete language and being concise. You have to mention the things. We are not going to say things in a general way, all right? That's also evaluated. Then the correct way placement of words, right? If the word is not in the correct place, you have to use it at the beginning or in the middle, but with commas, right? If not, it has to be in the correct order. And remember, it's always like subject, verb, the object of that verb. You can have place and you can have time, right? If you follow that order, you don't need any commas. But if you change the order, you have to use different punctuation rules, okay? That's the meaning of that one. Now, this is interesting. You don't use negative sentences in this essay and with a lot of formality. Instead of negative sentences, you can go to the last unit. You have a list of negative words. For example, what is the negative word of expected? Unexpected, right? What is the negative word of pleasant? Unpleasant, right? So instead of saying no or don't or isn't or doesn't, you have to use negative words. All right, that's the thing over here. So no negative sentences, but words with negative meaning. That's what you have to use. Then punctuation, you're going to learn this with me inside the quotation marks, right? It has to be the period inside the quotation marks, and that's it. That's mainly what we're going to be evaluating. And finally, I'm also going to read this for you so that we can go to the beginning of the first and the second lesson. It's number of words. Remember that they can vary, right? It's expected that you can use 420 words, but it can vary. It can be, actually, it's not as much as I was telling you. It can be 10 more. It means 430 or 410 words, right? Everything more than that is going to affect the score a little bit. It's only 10 points, but it can be a lot. And again, if you use more than the 10 words that you have as a range, you're going to be losing some of those points. But that's it. That's everything in terms of the rubric. I'm showing this now to you, Michaela, so that you have the time to start working on the essay as soon as you have time, and you can have it ready for the final day that is going to be January the 9th. I don't know if you have any questions about this before starting with our first lesson. Please let me know.
I am not sure if you already mentioned, but can I choose the topic of the essay?
Yes, it's free for you to choose any topic that you want. So that's also something I always recommend. Try to choose a topic in which you can use vocabulary that you feel comfortable with, right? So I'm not
Okay.
going to set a limit over there. So my recommendation is always that you can use a topic related to your career, your profession, right? So you can practice with those words. So yes, any topic that you want, no limits on that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, no, you're welcome. And yes, I didn't mention that one, so it's good that you're bringing that up. And that's it. All right. So once again, this is for January the 9th. The due date is over here. Okay, for next year. Okay, 2023. But it's not a lot of time. If you take a look again at the calendar that I'm going to show you one more time, we have a total of 8 classes. The good thing is we have 2 holidays. Okay, both of them are on Monday. But besides that, the rest of the classes are going to be normal until the 9th. And immediately after we finish with A13, we're going to begin with A14, but I'm going to give you all the instructions and all the details on January 11th. Okay, now we're going to focus only on writing and reading. Okay, so I feel that we are ready then. One more thing perhaps that I was forgetting, sorry, remember that that's 60%. What I show you now, that's 60% of your score. It's a lot, all right? It's a lot. But again, you need to work on that carefully because it's easy to make mistakes over there, all right? It's very easy to make mistakes if you don't work with time and you don't check your essay at least twice. It's easy to miss some commas or to miss some words. All right. So my recommendation again is to work with time so that you have the time to check that at least twice. But the 40% that is extra is here. Only 2 activities. One of them, that is number 2, that I'm not going to read it entirely, is the examples that you're going to write here with me. Okay, if you are here every class, you write all the examples and you work on the corrections that I give you, you already have a good score over there. All right, but that's one. That's like 20 points. To have the rest of that, you need to do the following. That is not also, it's also not a good or a big thing. This is for Thursday. Okay, the 22nd is Thursday, right? You have to present this in-class document, Michaela, before the next unit. So now, for example, is for Thursday the 22nd. Okay, this week, Thursday the 22nd. And it's easy. It's only a document with, if you remember what we did last in our previous course, with 9 new words plus their definition and one example that you have to write. Okay, you have to write that example. Any 9 new words. You go to the web, or even if I'm going to give you some reading exercises, you can get the new words from there, or any new words that you have. All right, but of course we cannot use simple words or simple verbs, right? They have to be new, and it has to be clear that they are new for you as well. All right. And again, you have to give me the word, the definition, and down below, you give me the example. For next to it, you can use this template. If you go to material, this one. So you can download this if you want. And this is going to be the format. Okay, here you have your name. Instead of week, you can say unit, because here again, we're not going to work with entire weeks. Unit, and you have the word, definition, and the example. Okay, all of them are going to be together. You need a minimum of 9 words for every unit that you have. Okay, it can be more than 9 words, but if you have 9, that's more than enough. And once again, following the logic, just that everything is clear, each unit is going to last 2 classes, right? Because we only have 8 classes. It's 2 classes per unit. Unit 1 is today and the 21st. So you have also the 22nd to finish everything, and the 22nd you can upload your 9 new words, and you should have all the examples that we worked on today, that we're going to work on Wednesday. On the 23rd, we start the second unit. So it means the second unit is going to be until 28, until the 29th. So the 29th is the day in which you have to upload other 9 new words with the same format, okay, definition, examples. And also until that day, you have to, if you didn't attend to any of these classes, you have the time to catch up, to write the sentences, and to have everything completed until the 29th. Okay, the same here, the 30 until the 4th, and the 5th, you upload the document, and the 6th until the 9th, and you have until the 10th to upload the last document. But please, and actually, no, this last week, as I have to send the scores and the final grades, it's only going to be until the 9th. So you're going to have the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th to work on the final words that you are going to send me, the 9 new words, plus catching up in the sentences if you didn't attend, right, any of those classes, and also to upload the final essay, because I need to have the 10th for checking and revising that essay and sending the scores so that you can go to the next course that is going to be A14. Right, so that's the last thing I wanted to show you before we can start with the lesson. So do you have any questions or doubts about that one, Micaela? Let me know, please.
No, teacher, it was clear. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you very much. And again, we spent a long time over here because it's important that that's clear so that you also have time to organize yourself. All right, you know how this is going to be divided, so you can start whenever you want to start and work on those details, either in the 9 new words or in the essay. So now let's start with the first lesson. The first lesson is only one lesson. The first unit is only one lesson, but it can be long because it's about punctuation. So let's begin. All right, we're going to start with that one. You remember that I was giving you always some recommendations, right, about punctuation, about commas, about semicolon. Now, this is the part in which we have to use that properly. And we have a lot of rules to do it. So before I start, because we also need to write the examples, I'm sending the link, please, the way we always do. Micaela, it is in the chat. And as we finish with the explanation for some of those words, we can go and practice today's document. Okay, so there you go. The link is in the chat. Let's begin the class or the lesson now. Okay, so commas, colons, semicolons, and end dashes. Okay, you have 2 types of dashes: the end dash, that is the short dash, and the M dash, that is 2 dashes together, or a long dash that you have in American keyboard, right? And here we're going to use the long one. That it's the same as using commas or colons, as you're going to see, right? Let's start with commas. It's the most simple, right? And it's very similar to using commas in Spanish, but you have some details. So let's start by reading this, please, Micaela. This is the first time when we use a comma.
Okay, when to use a comma to listen items or short phrases. I bought bread, cheesy, and pickles at the grocery store. When you have more than two items, people, objects, actions, another, use a comma before an or.
Great, thank you very much. Just this word, it's going to be I, so it's going to be items. Let's repeat that one, please.
Items.
Items, good. So the only thing you have to do here, what is, and actually you have to be careful with something. An item can be a word, only a word. This is one item, and one item, right? You have a total of 3. The rule says that you have to divide the items and you have to use a comma before and or if you have more than 2. Okay, if it's only bread and cheese, you don't use commas, right? I bought bread and cheese, no commas. But as you have 3, it has to be dividing every item, okay, even before and. Many people don't use this comma, but in academic writing, it's going to be necessary. Okay, this is the Oxford comma, and it comes before and for a list of items. Now, I'm going to give you another example so that you give me one as well. An item can also be activities or anything that is in a list of something that you do. In that case, you were mentioning a list of things that you bought. But what about the things that you like to do? That's also a list of items, right? And in this case, you can use verbs. You can say, I like to sing, to dance, and to go to the park, all right? Now, you have rules for the infinitive. You can use infinitive there they want to eliminate, but that's not an alternative. Actually, it's one. You have to use the infinitive in every word that you use, or you can use it simply in the beginning. So you can say, I like to sing, to dance, and to go to the park. Or you can say, I like to sing, dance, and go to the park. Okay, but using the punctuation, comma, comma, and comma before and. Okay, that's one. But it can be longer. You can say with parents more complex ideas. I enjoy, all right, I enjoy going to concerts, okay, every Saturday, comma, playing piano when I have some time, and traveling to new places if I have some money, right? And this is only one sentence. This is not a lot of verbs. We only have one verb, that is enjoy. After enjoy, we have gerunds. And remember that gerunds are not verbs, they are activities, right? So this is one item, going to concerts every Saturday, comma, playing the piano when I have some time. That's the second item, comma, and traveling to new places if I have some money. That's the third item. Okay, so one more time, I'm showing this because it's important to know that items can be short, one word, or items can be very long. For example, this item has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words, right? And this is even longer, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 words. And that's only one item, all right? And how do you recognize? You recognize that because you have only one main verb, one subject, and going, playing, and traveling are activities that you enjoy doing, and the rest of the words are just objects or complements for this word, and for this word. Okay, and again, that's something extra, but it's something you need to take into account in case you want to mention a list of activities in your essay or in the examples that you're going to write, right? Now, Let's write, please, a couple of examples, Michaela. Let's write 2 examples using this logic. All right, 2 examples. One example can be with only one word, like this. Okay, bread, cheese, and pickles, one word. But make or write, sorry, another example with more than one word. Okay, at least 2 or 3 words, like in the example that I gave you. Okay, they can be in present or in past or future. Let's do it, please. Only 2 examples. Let's have 2 minutes and we check, please. All right, so we have the 2 minutes. Again, I'm going to help you out in case you're still working on one of them, but let's check, please, and let's work together in case we didn't work. Okay, I think we got them. Let's read, please, your examples, Michaela.
Okay, she wants to use a beautiful dress, nice shoes, and gold jewelry for her graduation party. And I would like to learn to sing, dance, and play violin for the next year.
All right, thank you very much. I think it's working great. In the first one, you're using a combination of nouns and adjectives, right? And they work perfectly. That's what I was asking for, right? A beautiful dress, nice shoes, and gold jewelry. Great. And then I would like to learn to sing. Yes. Also, you can say how to, right? But both of them work. I would like to learn how to sing, dance, and play. Here, we're only missing something. And when you talk about instrument, right? It has to be with
Okay.
the violin. And remember, if you say, you can say directly for next year, or you can say next year. But I want to know, do you mean you want to learn that now and finish learning next year? Or what's the idea in the last part?
Could be like my goals for the next year.
Okay, all right. So I believe that in that case, again, you can say directly over there for next year.
Yes.
All right, for next year. Because if you say for the next year, you have to add something more specific. For example, you can say for the next year's party or for the next year's event. Okay, but if you only say for next year, it is going to be better. Okay, just that one, Mikael. I think everything else is working great. And the main idea was the punctuation, and it's working very well. Okay, so good. Let's continue. Again, anytime you have, or if you get to have questions, you're going to let me know. In the next, we're only going to write one example. It's something that you know. It's something that we practice, and these are fanboys. Let's read this slide, please, Michaela.
Okay. When to use a comma? To separate long independent clauses when conjunction connect them. Astronomers have known about the position of stars for centuries, but they didn't understand that the Earth revolves around the sun. Read about fanboys to practice.
Great, right to practice. Now, let's please read actually about fanboys. This is another document that is also for you in the platform, Michaela. I wanted to work with one, but actually we're going to work with two. These are fanboys, right? Remember, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so, right? You have to use commas every time you use complete sentences divided by fanboys. Like here, right? For, remember, is reason. Julie did not go to school, comma, for she was ill. It's like because she was ill. Okay, but here you have to use comma. Nor, and this is an exceptional. Let's work with a but. Easy, right? For contrast, Jennifer loves her rabbits, comma, but she's afraid of her rulers. So, or roosters, sorry. Here, the same idea. You have contrast, but you have to use it with commas. Or is the same. Two complete ideas divided by commas, yet is the same as but in many cases. It's more similar to however, but comma, yet, that is also to show contrast, as you can see over here, and this one over here, right? So in both cases, contrast. And so to show consequence, but also one comma, so, no comma after so, and the complete sentence. Okay, I'm just going to read the purpose to use some of them, and you're going to write sentences. Remember, for is the same as because. Okay, this is something we're going to use. For means because. Nor is to show two negative ideas. First, you need a negative idea. And again, I didn't read this one because this is an exception. After nor, you always use inversion. And actually, I'm going to try to make you use that. Look at the example. It says, Maria does not miss a day of work, nor does she miss a day of school. Okay? It's like saying ni o tampoco, but it has to be with inversion, right? Usually you talk about the same person, but you need two complete ideas. Look, here you have a complete idea. Maria does not miss. And here you have a complete idea. Does she miss? Subject, verb, and then the couplet. Okay, so to connect two negative ideas, to add a negative detail to another negative detail. That's when you use nor, right? But is for contrast, or is for options, yet is also for contrast, and and so is for consequence. So taking a look at this, please, Michaela, let's work with two examples. All right, but we're going to work with these two examples, please. It's going to be one with for, and let's only try one with nor. In case you have some difficulties, let me know. And again, if it's taking some time and you cannot think of one example, sometimes it can be confusing. You can work with yet or so. All right, but let's try to work with for and nor if it's possible. Let's do it, please. Again, in any questions, let me know. As they are two complete sentences per element, let's have 3 to 4 minutes and we check, and you will let me know if you finish before, please. All right. So we are with the 3 minutes. In case we don't need the extra minute, let's take a look at what you got. And with that, we're going to go to the last elements for comma. At least today, we're going to be finishing with the comma. And the next one, that is Wednesday, we don't have to explain anything about the class. So the entire hour is going to be to finishing. Just the rest of the punctuation marks, right? The period, semicolon, and dash. The dash is very simple, as you're going to see, because it's very similar to commas. And colon actually is not very similar, it's the same. But you use it to put more emphasis or when you don't want to be very formal. But with that said, please let's go to the examples that you wrote, Michaela.
Okay. Carol received an attention call, or she didn't go to work on Friday. Joanna doesn't want to take classes at night, nor does she want to take classes on Saturday.
Great, great. I think you did it great. Here again, I told you many things about Grammarly, right? They are going to be marking some details. For is very, very common in writing an academic essay. So it's perfect that you can use for, all right? Again, it replaces because. Because doesn't use a comma, right? So if you want to use because, you don't need a comma. You can say, Carol received an attention call because she didn't go to work on Friday, right? Or what you said here, that is correct. Here, the only thing is that, yes, this has to be with capital letter as this one. But everything else is working great, right? And I don't know why, but Grammarly decided to stop marking that, but it's correct, okay? It's great. I don't know if you have any questions about this in general. Also, this inversion is working great, Michaela. Let me know, please, if you have questions.
The only thing that take my attention is the structure of the second sentence. Nor does she want to take.
Yes.
Does always is before the subject?
When it's in the simple present, yes, because it has to be always with inversion. Inversion means that it has to be in the form of question. Okay, now this is in simple present, right? Because it's a simple present idea. But imagine that you have a past idea. It means that it's going to be did. If it's the present perfect, it's going to be have. If it's future, it's going to be will, right? So, but yes, and only with nor, all right? And in general, in advanced grammar, every time you start your sentence with a negative word, it's always inversion, okay? You can start ideas with never, all right? And you can say, never do I go to places like that. And it's correct. Instead of saying, I never go to places like that, you can say, never do I go to places like that. And it's because of the rule. Every time the negative word starts, it has to be with inversion. It means does, did, have, will, would, or any auxiliary is always going to be before the subject. Okay, and again, I'm just going to make one to show you that one. If I say, I didn't finish my assignment, right? Nor did I, right? Started the new project. Okay, this is here's a mistake because it's already with did at the beginning. So the same idea. Or you can say, I haven't over here. And if you say, I haven't finished, in this case with ed over here, you say here, nor have I. And here you need the ed. Nor have I started the perfect. Okay, so any auxiliary that you use has to be inverted, but only with nor and only with negative words. Right? Good. Now, let's finish, please. We're going to use this extra, please, at 10 minutes until 9:40 to finish these details with commas. Okay, we only have 2 more, and we're only going to have 2 examples per step because they are very simple. This is an introductory phrase. Remember, anytime you have anything to say at the beginning that is not a complete sentence, but it's not your subject, is an introductory phrase. And you always use commas, right? Uh, After the introductory phrase and before your complete idea. So let's read this slide, please, Michaela.
Okay. After an introductory phrase, in preparation for the next convention, the representatives studied up on the most important issues. Introductory phrases can be time, place, manner, clarifications. For example, on Monday at the gym, please, sometimes, usually, in Bolivia, and others.
Great. There you go. Thank you very much. So it can be phrases like this in preparation for the next convention, all right, or getting ready for the meeting, or before our encounter, or after the party, right? Anything that is going to be just introduction before your main idea needs a comma. Okay, let's have there because we're going to go now to the next one and you're going to write the two examples directly. Okay, this is introductory phrase. Again, any questions, please let me know. Let's go to the next one that is parenthetical phrase. And this is like using parentheses, saying something extra that you don't need. You can take that information away and the sentence has to be correct. If you use commas with something that is important and you take that away and the sentence is not correct, then you are not using the parenthetical phrase correctly. Okay, it has to be something extra that can or cannot be used. So let's read this also, please, Michaela.
Okay, to separate a parenthetical phrase or interrupter, all doctors, if they care about the patients, are concerned with good office hygiene. Interrupters can be comments like, according to me, according to the class, being honest, following your advice as far as I am concerned, as long as it works in that way, and so on.
Perfect. Thank you, Michaela. Now, just to give a clarification about this one, again, I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy and paste. And with this, again, you write the last two examples. And with that, we are set, at least with commas. And the rest of it is going to be easy for Wednesday. All right. So this is what I was telling you. In the example, you need to be sure that first you have a complete sentence. Okay, doctors are concerned with good office hygiene. That's correct. That's complete. Yes. Now, an interrupter or a parenthetical phrase is something that you can set in commas in between your main idea. Usually it's going to be after the subject or at the exact moment in which you want to introduce your idea, right? It depends on where you want to do it. So here, all doctors, I can use a different interrupter. I can say, in my opinion, right, are concerned with good office hygiene, right? Or another interrupter. And remember, you have to use phrases. Phrases are incomplete sentences. You cannot use complete sentences in the middle, all right? Only phrases. And again, a phrase is always an incomplete sentence. You can say, according to the article, right? That's another interrupter. All doctors, according to the article, are concerned. And one more could be, as far as I'm concerned, right? As far as I'm concerned, right? Actually, we are using the same verb over here, so this is not advisable, but this is another interrupter, okay? Interrupters show ideas that you want to say in the middle of something, but that are not needed. So you can omit that information and it is still correct, right? So with that said, again, you're going to let me know if you have any questions. And if not, let's write, please, the last two examples, Michaela. One example with an introductory phrase at the beginning of your idea with a comma, but remember, also it has to be a phrase. It's an incomplete sentence. And one parenthetical phrase in the middle of your idea with two commas in every part. Let's do it, please. Let's have 2 minutes or so. We check, or you let me know if you finish before. Let's do it, please. All right, so we have those 2 minutes. And just in case, again, I'm going to see how you're doing, and we can work together in case something is missing. But again, we need two ideas, one with an introductory phrase, that is anything that you mentioned at the beginning that can be time, place, or just a reference that is incomplete, right? At the beginning, before your main idea. And then this one that is going to be an interrupter that is optional. And if we delete that information, your sentence has to be correct. If it's incomplete or something doesn't make sense, it means that it's not an interrupter. All right. So let's please take a look at your examples, Michaela. Let's read your ideas.
Okay, in January, I am going to be promoted to marketing assistant. And social media, in my opinion, are dangerous places for children.
Great, thank you very much, Michaela. In this case, as you're talking about social media as something general, you can even talk about that as one entity. So it's a dangerous place,
Okay.
right? So you can say social media or social networks are dangerous places for children, or you can say social media is, right, a dangerous place. So here, if we're going to use singular, right, we're going to change then to is, and we're going to say a dangerous place for children. That's why we need to add also that one. But that's it. Everything else is working correctly. You have that one. So I don't have any observations. I don't know if you have any questions before finishing today, Michaela. Let me know, please.
No, teacher. Thank you so much.
Okay, very good. No, you're welcome. Thank you, actually, Kaela, also for being here and for working with me with these examples. I know sometimes they can be a little bit tricky or heavy, but it's good and it's great. So again, on Wednesday, we're going to work with colon. Only 3 elements for colon, okay, very short. We're going to work with semicolon. That is 4, and the semicolon can be tricky, all right? Perhaps we're going to spend time here with semicolon because it's important to know how to use it, and it can be hard in 2 of the cases. And the dash, this is very simple. Only 2 ways, but it's the same as the comma, the parenthetical phrase in the comma, and the same as colon, the conclusion for the colon that you're also going to learn on Wednesday. All right, so we have the hour that is going to be more than enough for this one. Just a recommendation, please work on the 9 words. Remember, they are for Thursday, just 9 new words for that document, and you have to load that until Thursday maximum. I don't know, again, if you have any final comments about the course or anything before finishing.
No, teacher, thank you.
All right. As always, please, I'm sending the survey. That's for today. Thanks again for being here. I hope you have a good night. I'll see you directly on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Bye-bye. You're welcome. Good night.
Good night.